New Zealand Pukekohe Classic Festival here. I'm joined by Stu Avant, which I'll be honest with you, Stu, a lot of the people this weekend I've been able to say to them, you were a hero growing up. But I was so ill-informed, I honestly didn't know who you were until I got here this weekend and they said you've got to interview Stu Avant. But it's kind of a bit rude for me to admit that. But now I've got to know you and it's quite cool.
Said, what can I say? If you're uneducated, that's life, mate. No, well, I didn't spend that much time here, really, and I spent more time in Europe and Australia. And I'm often frequently asked about things about Australian guys. Do you know this guy and you know that guy, Kiwi guys? And I go, well, not really, because I left here when I was 20 and I never really came back, you know. I just went to Europe following a dream, and it's significant, I guess, that I won the Marlborough Series here, which is what the meeting's all about. And Michael prepared the bike, Mike Sinclair, so, you know, good pedigree. And I had a year when I probably should have been in the top 3 or 4 in the world, and, you know, we are what we are, you know, and we achieve what we achieve. And come back to mucking around with bikes and come back to Pukekohe, and it's good fun. You know? Yeah, I actually do get it that no one knows me, and it's quite fun. I often have people ask me if I could find me. I'm looking for Stu Avant for an autograph. I go, really? Cool. I'll sign it for him. So it's been good fun, and of course, you know, really my best pals outside of other circles, but my motorcycle people are the best, and Michael and PT and Kevin McGee's my neighbour, and we come and run these 2-strokes and have a really, really good time. It's social. If you want to get serious, go somewhere else. We're not interested. Serious about preparation. You can see how good they are. You can hear how good they are. But not serious about egos. There's no one here with an ego, you know, and we can help. Spent a lot of time talking to some really young people today, some nice people, explaining about the bike, explaining about that time. So it's been good fun.
I was fortunate enough to be working as a mechanic in the European Junior Cup on a part of, alongside the World Superbike Championship this year for a young Kiwi competitor over there, and it kind of just made me realise that it's still achievable, I think, if you've got enough motivation, enough drive and a little bit of backing, you can still go over there and make something happen. Maybe not so much in MotoGP anymore, or 500 Grand Prix as it was then, but definitely in maybe a World Super Sport or a stock 1000 effort, it's definitely still achievable. Well,
I agree. Like we were talking the other day about a couple of really good Kiwi guys that gave up because they couldn't afford it. So Michael and me were talking about when we went to Europe first year to the race factory, in the World Championship, that our air ticket was $1,100. So you could buy a new 500 Suzuki for $990. So I quickly Googled it, and it's about $6,800 for an economy fare. And we could only go to London in those days, but we knew the flight went via Singapore, Rome and London. So we stopped in Singapore and got back on. They said, "You going to London?" I said, "No, we're not. We're going to Rome." And we argued. We knew if we argued long enough, the plane wouldn't leave without us. So we argued till they changed their mind and labelled us through to Rome. And that's how we got there. Now, most guys, you can get to Europe now for $1,200 if you have to. We were 6,000. So things were dearer, and things were more expensive, and things are always going to be hard. And they were hard for Hugh Anderson, and they were hard for us, and they're hard for Jake Lewis, and they're hard for, they were hard. I helped a few guys get through and get some factory rides over the years because the cream rises to the top and people were looking for the best people. And the truth is, the chances are if you haven't got to the top and if you haven't made it, it's because you're probably not good enough. But you need to be there because it's a hell of a good sport. It's a good way to get through your life trying to learn to be successful. And if you really put your mind to it, when you leave, you go into business, which I've found everyone hates how competitive I am. They really get pissed off how much I want to win at everything I do. And you just got to keep going. Yes, they go, oh, well, the Spaniards. Well, our time was the Italians and the English. I could have had some factory rides, had a few with Cross a couple of times, but I would have had more because I have friends that told me that, because we sat in meetings and said, well, we just don't want another Australian or a Kiwi. We want English people. So it's always been stacked against you. But, if you're good enough, you'll make it. I was not quite good enough, but I was okay. So I'm happy with that. That'll do.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. It's interesting you say that the cream rises to the top and that if you're good enough, you'll make it. I think I think a lot of people, especially my generation, get disheartened because they think, oh, well, it doesn't matter if I'm good enough or not. It's not a possible dream. But disagree with that.
It doesn't work like that. If someone will always notice you if you're at the right place at the right time. So you have to be smart enough to know where to go. You have to be smart enough to know what to ride. You have to be smart enough to, a perfect example. And I have no criticism at all of him. A young fella, Jones in Australia last year, got a Ducati factory ride as a stand-in. And people are going, oh my God, he did so well, he kept it upright. I said, no, I got Troy Bayliss a ride on the Suzuki 250 at Phillip Island, and he creamed people. He rode around the outside of him because he was a super talent. Now, Mike Jones might be a super talent, but you only get one crack. And if he'd been 8th, 9th, 10th or 11th, people were going, we probably need this guy, he's very good. And what these went was, well, thank you did a good job. That doesn't cut.
Yeah. It's interesting what you were saying before about business. I think when I think of people who have been successful in racing, more often than not, afterwards they've always become successful business people wherever, and it's all different facets of business or whatever they do. They seem to be successful, thorough, competitive. It's incredible.
Yeah, well, I mean, it doesn't always work out in business. I know that and you know that, but I do know that in my case, I just said, it's 1983, my son's 3-4 years old. I had a big deal with BP, and BP came to me and said, look, I'm really sorry. We've got this young whippersnapper called Ayrton Senna, and we're going to put all our money into him, so you're out. And my Malaysian sponsors, who are awesome, sold out to the Japanese, back to Suzuki, Japan. And I was standing there with my pants around my ankles, and I thought, I'm going to move on in my life. And I moved to Australia. And looking back on it, I really worked bloody hard, to be successful. And I still go to work every day and want to be the best. I want to win. I want to have the best sales figures. I want to have nationwide in our systems. I look in the morning and go, stuff you. I've just beaten you. It's terrible. And if anyone gets near us, anywhere near us in Australia in our sales figures, because our systems are very good today, and we know what everyone's doing right round, and we go, man, we're just going to have to work harder because we don't want anyone to beat us. Wow. It's quite good, and I guess that's what's allowed me to be here with doing what I'm doing now.
Hey, awesome meeting. How have you enjoyed the atmosphere, the people, the bikes, the culture? It's just been a good time. I've thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, for me, I'd obviously heard of you before I came here through the guy I bought all my cameras off, but and did a little bit of research off the back of that. But meeting you guys has been crazy. So down to earth, so humble, just normal old Kiwi Australian guys going racing and having fun with their mates. It's wicked. Yeah,
thanks. We do. It's I brought a couple of bikes, and Tommy Dermody, my mate, is the major financier in it because he has more resources, and to be able to go, well, we're at Phillip, we're in Timaru, and I'm looking at Michael Sinclair's truck, and Michael's arguably the best two-stroke mechanic in the world ever of all time. In fact, I'm pretty sure. And we've got Paul Tracy, awesome bloke, electronics engineer, now a successful businessman. You've got Jeremy Burgess, Rossi's old mechanic. He's packing the truck. And Dickie Smart, who worked for 14 years for Rossi and doing, training the carburetors on our bikes. And we're just looking at each other and going, this works, this is good. And then we don't want to eat crap. We're not going to do it too often. If you start doing it a lot, it'll become a job. And right now, it's just a pleasure. And you'll find exactly that. I had young Aaron Lambourne today, and I know his dad a bit, and I said to Kevin McGee, can you spend some time speaking to him, please? Because I seems to be a bit lost and lonely in his racing, and he's a really nice young kid. I met him in Sydney. He came to my son's restaurant, and we sat down and had a chat. And we're going to get him over to Australia to do a couple of track days, and Kevin can teach him and train him, and Kevin wants to do it. Kevin's not saying, oh, you got to pay me for it. He said, I want to help. And everyone around here wants to help. And we're doing it for the right reasons. But long may it last. I mean, anything will stop us as we're getting really old. So, but apart from that, it's fun, I really enjoyed it. And I'm really happy I was invited. And we're happy that the day went off so well. The weather was crackingly good. And, of course, I'm a Kiwi, so this is home. And I love home.